Meanwhile, President Trump is expected to arrive in East Palestine today. He's expected to bring supplies for the community as well. Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson. He's a member of the Financial Services Committee and Select Committee on the Economy. Congressman, thanks very much for being here. My heart goes out to you and your constituents in Ohio, obviously, and to Palestine. What can you tell us about this situation? How did this happen?
Well, look, we don't have a final determination on exactly how the train derailed. We do know it's a Norfolk Southern train. It's not the train, the type of train that a lot of people have kind of put out as, the rule that under Trump was changed. But we don't know exactly what caused the failure. I should be clear, though, that East Palestine is about four and a half hours away from my district. I'm over in Southwest Ohio, near Cincinnati.
But, I mean, the administration keeps saying that they're going to hold Norfolk Southern accountable. So I know that the CEO of Norfolk Southern has been there at least twice. So, do we know whose fault this is? I mean, the administration is once again trying to blame Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, they continue to try to blame President Trump for everything that doesn't go right on the Biden administration. But we know that the response from the administration has been pretty weak. It's very much disappointing and frustrating to people around the country, but especially here in Ohio and, of course, right there in East Palestine, Ohio. The Transportation Safety Board needs to get a determination as to what the cause is. And frankly, unless our intelligence community is saying it was an act of sabotage, I don't know how it's not Norfolk Southern's fault. It's their rail line and it's their train. They're in custody of the chemicals. And frankly, the response to it, you can war game that. There were no good options. And talking with one of the fire chiefs from my district who did travel there to be part of the hazmat response team, they did contain as much liquid as possible with a catch basin. And then they relieved it, and then they burnt that so that it wouldn't penetrate as deep into the groundwater, and also it wouldn't be a massive explosion and overheat and cause a vaporization that spread further in, of course, a much larger blast radius. So there were no good options. It may be that they handled this as well as possible considering what happened.
Yeah.
But just like the BP oil spill, we didn't wait to say, oh well, maybe somehow BP is not responsible. BP, of course, had a rig. It failed. You want to determine how it failed and make sure that never happens again.
Okay.
But, of course, BP had to clean it up, and Norfolk Southern is going to be responsible for cleaning this mess up.
Mike Baker.
Yeah, Congressman, I think you're absolutely right. Look, this is a joint response, and it's the same with any derailment, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the rail industry has been moving hazmat for almost its 200-year history. So, and in any time you have something like this, it has to be a response from both the rail line responsible and the government, the NTSB, the EPA, DOT. How would you rate, though, from the government's response? How would you rate the DOT's response at this point?
Yeah, frankly, very uninspiring. I mean, you look at, Mayor Pete was clearly not qualified to be Secretary of Transportation. He hasn't led the agency well. But nevertheless, they're professionals down in there that have been there for a long time. The response has been disappointing. And some of it you kind of got from the EPA in particular. They didn't even want to show up to work. They were talking about, is it safe for them to go there? Well, you're the EPA. You're supposed to be able to tell us that.
Yeah.
You have all the right gear, we hope, to be able to respond to situations like that. And I remember a press conference where our governor had said it's safe to go there, and Ohio's EPA had said that it's safe to go there. And then you had the federal EPA saying, well, we can't really send people out there until it's safe.
Well,
very, very disappointing.
Norfolk Southern has come up with a fund to try to send money to the affected community. By the way, the stock has tumbled about 11% or more since February 3rd when this first happened. Let me switch gears and ask you about the Journal's reporting about Chinese President Xi Jinping. He'll visit Russia in the coming months for a summit with Vladimir Putin. Congressman Mike Gallagher wrote an op-ed in the Journal saying, when we think about how to deter the Chinese Communist Party, it's useful to think about how you deal with a bully by getting your friends together and standing up. Congressman, what should the U.S. be doing now to stand up to China? I mean, the Communist Party has been provocating now aggressively on Joe Biden's watch, from, you know, the COVID-19 cover-up to this spy balloon.
Yeah, Xi Jinping is a total different leader for China than they've had for a while. For a long time, China was moving to closer relationship with the world, the United States as well. They were doing it with trade, and it wasn't a system that was benefiting the United States, clearly. China never lived up to its commitments as part of the World Trade Organization, and they've manipulated markets. It's crushed the economy, very notably here in Ohio. We've had horrible trade policy. But China's also benefited from the United States being at war for 20 years. We focused on the Middle East, and now we're focused in Ukraine. The biggest beneficiary of this has been the Chinese Communist Party, because we have not focused on them.
Well, there's also the fact that they own so much of our debt, right, Congressman? And we got a debt showdown coming up, $31.5 trillion in debt. How is that going to play out?
Well, obviously, we're going to raise the limit because we're not going to default on it. But, you know, you don't normally just keep raising the limit on your debt. You find a way to not hit it in the future. That's the part of the conversation that Democrats in particular want to avoid. Yeah. But a lot of our colleagues want to avoid that conversation.
All right. We will leave it there. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much. We'll be watching all of that. Warren Davidson joining us this morning in Ohio.